Welcome back. Well, Valley of the Moon has been a part of the Tucson community since 1932, and they have huge news today to share with us.
Yes, Zach Jarrett is here to tell us about the designation they were given just earlier this week. We're going to leave the big drum roll. Zach, what is it that you want to announce?
Well, Valley of the Moon is Tucson's first new historic landmark.
What?
Yes, yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
This is very big news for Valley of the Moon. It's very big news for the city of Tucson. The last historic landmark to be declared was designated 20 years ago. It was the El Tiradito Wishing Shrine downtown south of TCC. And so the city of Tucson has been sitting back on its haunches waiting to do this for 20 years. And now Valley of the Moon is very, very honored to be the newest historic landmark in the city. And actually, to celebrate, I have brought you these fabulous commemorative pins.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. How beautiful.
I got a gnome.
And I got fairies.
Oh, very, very
Fairies
sweet.
for preservation. So, so tell me, why is it so important to you to be a landmark here, especially after 20 years like that?
Well, Valley of the Moon was listed on the Arizona Historic Register in 1975. It was then listed on the National Historic Register in 2011. Now, those are both great honors, but they don't provide any meaningful protection for properties, meaning protection from development. What the historic landmark designation from the city of Tucson does is it provides a regulatory overlay that protects Valley of the Moon from development as anything but a children's storybook land, or a fantasy storybook land, really, I should say, because it's for children of all ages. And it always has been for children of all ages, whether that's 100 or whether it's 1 year old. And so what this does is it protects Valley of the Moon and makes sure that any changes we make are consistent with the Secretary of Interior's standards for preservation, and it makes the property much less of a peach to a developer who might, say, want to build 12 more houses in Midtown.
Yeah. And so what goes into getting this designation? Like, did you have help getting into this, big announcement?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The prime movers for this were the Tucson Historic Preservation Foundation, particularly Damian Klinko, and I can't thank him enough for his work. Valley of the Moon reached out to the foundation in 2009 for help with historic preservation. And it was Damian Klinko and the foundation who got us listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And it was Damian Klinko and the foundation who worked with the city of Tucson for years to update the land use code to make it possible for properties like ours to become historic landmarks. And it was only thanks to his guidance through a process that was murky at times that we were able to get through it and celebrate this great news today.
Well, it's incredible. I can tell how happy you are. I mean, we've seen you recently, and you are just beaming, and that's so great. And we're so happy for Valley of the Moon. Now, tell us, you touched on it a little bit about what we actually do at Valley of the Moon, but what is it that we can expect there, and how has it been running since the 1930s?
Yeah, Valley of the Moon has this fascinating history. I mean, in 1923, George Farr Legler put his shovel in the ground and started building the place. And of course, this was in the Great Depression. Lots of people were out of work. George didn't have much money to work with, but he did have a lot of heart. And he took that heart and he hired itinerant men, hobos, to come work at Valley of the Moon. And he couldn't afford to pay them, but he could give them a place to live and meaningful work to do. And I doubt any of them knew that their handiwork would have such a long-lasting legacy, but it certainly did. And so he was helping the community just by providing meaningful work for unemployed men, even before Valley of the Moon opened. And then once it did open, he used the place as a canvas for storytelling and for mental and spiritual health for adults. He thought that if you taught a child to be kind before they were 5 or 6 years old, that they would grow up to be happier adults. And that was his goal, was to increase happiness for the world.
Well, Zach, it's such a lovely place, and now a historical landmark here in Tucson. Very exciting. We're going to give all of our viewers information on how to come visit you.
Good. Thank you so much. I hope they do.
Thank you for being here. And to learn more about Valley of the Moon, you can call 323-1331 or log on to TucsonValleyoftheMoon.com.